First of all, my family and myself are really excited about being back at Ole Miss, and left here 16 years ago and back now. So when we got here the first time, we had a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-week-old. Now they're 26, 23, and 20. Well, I'm really excited about working with Matt again for the third time, and he is an awesome coach and a super person that I'm really excited about helping him with his program. I'm excited about where we're going, where we're headed, and very fortunate to be here and honored to be coaching at Ole Miss. Loved my time here before, absolutely loved it, and I know I'll love my time here again, and honored to be here. So I'll take any questions at this time.
Mike, you hadn't been a coordinator in a while. Is it kind of like riding a bike? You never forget, really, or
yeah,
you got an adjustment to make?
Right. I've always been involved on the defensive side of the ball quite a bit, and I've always been working with the secondary in practice too. I've always done drills in practice, been involved in practice, sat in a lot of most of all the secondary meetings and that type of thing. So I've kept my hand in there hard, understanding that. We would also have different clinics and different things at Colorado where I bring in other staffs, defensive staffs, and always be a part of it. So I feel like I'm pretty much on the cutting edge of that and understand it, and have been heavily involved in the defensive side of the ball.
Mike, you've obviously had the opportunity to look at the talent that's on this roster. Mm-hmm. Just your assessment of it and maybe where that cornerstone is in your rebuilding effort from what you get from your evaluation of the talent already here.
Right. I've watched quite a bit of film on Ole Miss, and I think that they've got some good football players, and I'm excited to getting out there and working with them and seeing their maturity and see them work and see them do it. So hopefully we'll be able to be better and be able to stop people and be able to win football games. We've got guys coming in too that will throw in an influx. I think the exciting thing for me too is now that we're the full allotment of 85 scholarships, we have a lot of guys in that are coming in January that will be out there in practice that are new. So I think that influx of talent, along with the talent they have here, that we'll be able to keep improving and get better.
I've been told you're a 3-4 guy.
Yeah.
What do you look for in those outside linebackers, and what is it because it's so multiple that you like the 3-4?
Right. Well, I've been 4-2-5, 4-3, 3-4. When I was with the Dallas Cowboys, when I first went there, we were in a 4-3 with Mike Zimmer, and we did really well. And then Coach Parcells had always been a 3-4 guy, so we switched to the 3-4 after going into our third year. So I saw that whole development of that, how they draft to it, how they work it. Did the same thing when I was with the Jets. And then I like the 3-4 principle for a lot of different reasons. Number one, all these spread teams, all the fast-paced, you're able to clog up the B gaps, make the ball bounce. You can bring edge pressure from everywhere. I call the outside backers quarterback disruptors. Not only where they can come and it messes the offensive lineup because they don't know who's coming, but also at the same time they can act like they're coming. They can Hollywood. They can get in passing lanes. They can help in the RPO system, being able to stop that. So I think it's developed. What we've taken the pro system. It's exactly the exact same system the Chicago Bears run with Vic Fangio and them, and taken that system and developed it to college. So a lot of times we'll play with a outside backer that's really a safety type guy because everybody's in 3 wides and 4 wides, and only have one true outside backer on the field at times. But then we can also, I think it helps you pass rush wise because when we go 4 down and that type of thing, those outside backers are really your outside rushers. So we've developed it to fit a 3-4 scheme to fit college football in the widespread game. But also, the thing that I think it also does, as you recruit, you have more bodies that are 6'2 to 6'4, that are 220 to 250, that can play on all your special teams too. And so now you've helped your special teams. And I think that that's going to be big as we keep evolving this. And I'm excited about some of the guys on this team that played last year that played more of an end type that really could play an outside backer spot. their body type, their size, their speed, their athleticism. So I'm excited about working with those guys. Those are like the Converse I wore when I played high school basketball. I like
I
those.
think I might have worn them when I was covering you here the first time.
Okay, all right.
Hey, is there a balance that you have to walk in implementing a 3-4 and maybe still trying to get some things out of guys who were not recruited to that kind of system?
I think that we'll find out the guys that can fit the outside backer spot, and then the guys that can fit our inside tackle spots. It's kind of like it's like an end, a 4-eye end type of thing. We also do some movement, so if they're a little bit smaller, we're able to help with the movement type scheme to help them not always just have to sit there and be mano, but still be very gap sound. So we'll work that. And as spring evolves, I know exactly what we want to do and how we want to do it. Then as spring evolves, I'll know what we're best at, and then I'll emphasize that to be able to help us be the best we can be starting in the fall.
Obviously, you're a veteran coach, and you had a lot of options, when looking for jobs. And Ole Miss has struggled a little the last couple of years. Why did you think this was a good place to kind of hitch your wagon to? What is it about Matt Luke? Just kind of what was your decision-making process on that?
Right. Well, there was a lot of things that went into it, but number one, of course, Matt. Us knowing each other so well and wanting to help him to do really well, because he's the type of person, the type of coach, the guy, he truly has passion for Ole Miss, that I want him to be successful. And that's that. The second part of it is we absolutely loved our time here before at Ole Miss. My wife loved it here, our kids loved it here, and they're excited about coming back and visiting and being around. So that was another part. And then third, I felt like, the SEC, I've been west for a long time. I wanted to get back south. I wanted to get back east, and excited about doing that too. So this is a great opportunity to coach in the SEC and help Ole Miss get better and be successful.
Have you had a chance yet to zero in on some specific needs you might need for this February signing period?
Well, looking at what Matt and them had recruited, and I got in here at the very end of it, and we got some really good players. We're looking at a couple more D linemen and and outside backers, and maybe a secondary guy, and they're also looking at guys on offense. So we're kind of looking in that area. One thing, me as a defensive guy or coming in now, I wish I had spring practice right after the last signing date, got it done before the next signing date, so I'd have a little better idea of what our true needs are. But I think that we're on track with some guys. Y'all know that we're recruiting. I can't talk about them, and that fit some very specific needs that we need to get.
Obviously, it's a unit that struggled a lot this past year. What do you think is like a realistic timetable to turn things around on the defensive side?
The first game. That's what you got to do. There's not much time in college football to. Hopefully, we'll make strides each week, and hopefully, we'll play well coming out of the gate. We play. Not talking about the future. We got a good spring, but Memphis is I think the 10th scoring offense in America, so they know what they're doing. So we better be ready out of the gate to play better and play well.
Mike, what have your conversations been like with some of the returning guys on this defense, and what is your message to them as they try to buy into a new system?
Yeah, well, my message is to them that I chose them. They didn't choose me. I chose them. I'm excited about being here to help them, and I want to help them be the best they can be. And I believe in them. I really do. Haven't met them all, but I already believe in them. And for me to understand, to give them confidence, to give them knowledge of how we're going to play the game, make it simple for us, but very complex for the offense. And you can do that in the 3-4 scheme because of the way all the moving parts, and give them advantages and tools to be successful. So I'm going to dive into them and hopefully give them energy and excitement and confidence. So when they have that and they understand it, they're going to play fast. They're going to play with passion. They're going to play. So that's what I'm wanting to do and what I'm going to try to do with them.
Physically, ideally, what does that front three look like? You got to have an anchor there, or?
Right. Well, you're looking in the nose guard spot. You want a guy that's powerful, that can two gap a center, but at the same time, we're going to move him. So he needs to have a little bit of quickness to him, so they can't just tee off on him. At the 4 eyes, I've played with shorter guys in the 6'2" range, but you want guys that are, you want guys between 6'3.5", 6'4", 6'5" that have long arms, that are about 280, 290. We've got some guys on this team, to me, that are growing into that and look like that. To me, watching the film, there's some shorter D linemen, I'm not saying the 6'2"-ish range, that are really quick, but they're powerful. So I feel like that those guys, as they get to know our scheme and understand it, I feel like that they'll be able to do well in it. We've got to find a way to be able to slow down the running game. That's critical. And so I think the 3-4 defense can do that. They're going to pass for a few yards every once in a while, but if you can't stop them in the run at all, you're going to have a hard time winning football games, no matter what type of football they're playing these days. And so that's extremely important for us to be able to hone in and try to be able to do that. And so that's going to be a big focus for us, and the understanding if that's what we're trying to do first and foremost.
I would assume you're pretty familiar with Rich, both coming from
Yeah.
Pac-12.
Uh-huh.
What importance is it to this team to have 3 head coaches in the room, 3 guys who have been there,
Yeah.
that sort of experience?
Well, with Rich, I know Rich well. Got to know him at all the Pac-12 head coaches meetings, and then, of course, going against him. And I've always been extremely impressed with his offense and how he's been able to run the football and do the different things he's done. And he's been very high scoring in our league. And got to know him well, like him as a person. He's extremely funny. He has a great sense of humor, and he does a great job with quarterbacks. So I'm excited about Rich Rod being here. There is no doubt. And having Jack McNeil, I knew who Jack was. I never met Jack till I got here, but his days at Louisiana Tech, I remember beating them. They beat Alabama. I mean, they beat a bunch. I was like, whoa. And Jack did a heck of a job there. And then his experience in the NFL, there's a lot of different people we know from our NFL times together. So it's exciting having that. And so those guys, it's been fun. And it will continue to be fun and working with them. And they bring a lot of expertise to it. And, I think it shows a lot of credit on Matt's side too. Some head coaches would be scared to bring in all that many. That shows you, to me, he's very comfortable in his skin. And that really means a lot to me. He's very humble, and he's wanting Ole Miss to be successful. That's a true person that's putting Ole Miss in front of maybe what other people would think my own personal situation. He cares about Ole Miss, and he wants it to be successful. And to me, that shows an excellent leader that's very humble. And I think good leaders are usually very humble.
Is there a game where you went against Rich that stands out? I mean,
yeah, there's a nightmare game that they had a guy named Khalil Tate. So we were playing Arizona, and their first string guy, we're stopping them okay for like the first 3 series, and one of our linebackers hits their first string their quarterback out of bounds and knocked him out. And our guy gets kicked out, and I said, okay, we're down to the second team quarterback, and we're going to be all right. And Khalil Tate ends up running for like 330. I mean, it was a joke, and it was rough. I said, don't show that film to anybody in there. I'm going to deny it. But it was one of those games that I think the final score was 45-42. But that was a game that definitely sticks out to me, was Khalil Tate running around. I even said after the game, the press conference, can anybody tackle 14? So he knows how to move the football and understands how to utilize different guys with talents. And, college football is, I'm a defensive guy, and it's extremely important, and there's no doubt about it. And we got to score, make sure we hold them 1 less point than the opponent scores. But as y'all know, it's kind of the game is tilted, even in the pros, to more offense. Defense, you have the targeting. Defense, you have can't touch certain guys, and downfield, and all the different things. So it's defense is a tough deal to do, but I enjoy the battle. I enjoy the challenge, and Rich Rod does a great job of being able to move the football, which is exciting to me because he's able to control the ball too, and which helps you on defense. If he can sustain drives, control the football, get less plays for the opponent, that's a big deal, and he knows how to do that.
Wasn't your dad here?
Yes, my dad was here.
Uh,
Yeah, I was here in 8th grade.
Sloan?
It was Coach Sloan, yes, sir. He was the defensive coordinator for Coach Sloan in 1978 season. And, Buford McGee was the tailback. And John Forcade, I believe, was a freshman at the time. That was his first year playing. So all those guys.
Did he come here with Sloan? Or?
Yes, he came here with Sloan. He sure did. He was with Coach Sloan at Vanderbilt. And then when Coach Sloan went to Texas Tech, my dad went to UT Martin as the head coach. And then when Coach Sloan came back, he was with Coach Sloan that 1 year. And then after 1 year here, Dad got hired as the head coach at Vanderbilt University.
Right. And
Yeah.
When Sloan came here, the one coach that didn't come with him that
Yeah,
he wanted was Parcells.
Yeah, it was Coach Parcells.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill went to the NFL from there. Or did he go to Air Force? Went to Air Force as the head coach. And then 1 year after that, he went to the NFL. Yeah. And I still talk to Bill quite often because Bill hired me at Dallas. And got a lot of his thoughts on defense from Bill.
Yeah, some of us have always wondered what it would have been like had Parcells come with Sloan.
Yeah, Bill was good. He was good. But Dad was here 1 year and gone, so Coach Sloan lost two coordinators in basically a 12-month period. Because they were both, with him at Vanderbilt when they did. Bill was the defense coordinator. My dad was the secondary coach, and so those two guys together, kind of a key ingredient in the defense, to say the least. And then Romeo was here, and he was the linebackers coach. So that was three really. Mike Pope was coaching on offense. Yes, sure was. All right, thank you. Appreciate it.